What's up, y'all? Coach Pat here. Just wanted to talk to you guys about these 7 fundamental movement patterns over the course of the next 8 weeks, tackling just 1 per week. And yes, that leaves an open week, so I'll probably make a video about rowing to kind of round things out a little bit. But here in week number 1, just wanted to talk about the hinge, or the hip hinge, as you might more commonly hear it. If we look at just the name, a hinge, and what it relates to in real life, we start to get a better picture of how the body should be situated as we go for the movement. Now, if you're on the same page as me, thinking about something like a door hinge and not the dating app, you can imagine myself as a giant door hinge with a pin going through the hips, as that's the only place a bend occurs. And to make that happen, we push the hips back behind you. And now you're probably thinking to yourself, that's just a deadlift. Yeah, it is. But to keep the back flat, we don't want to get so focused on pushing the butt back behind you that we end up rotating the hips and arching the back, and not so focused on reaching down, as range of motion in a deadlift comes from how far back the hips get pushed rather than how far down you reach. You see, as you reach further, the back rounds out. Keeping the back flat, you get stuck around the knees. That's not a problem. You get as low as your body can handle without injury. Lastly, we'll talk about the muscles used and how a couple of different stances can affect the way those muscles get worked while going for a hinge. Now, generally speaking, when you do a hinge, you're working the hamstrings and the glutes, or the back of the thighs. And with conventional, the first of the 2 stances that we'll look at, toes facing forward, heels stacked right underneath the hip joint, and knees pointed forward as well, you're working straight down the hamstring, which you can think of as a bundle of 4 muscles. Working straight down the middle would work those middle 2. But with sumo, the other stance that we see here at OTF, we bring the heels a little bit wider, rotate the toes out just a bit, but now we need to rotate the knees to affect the way the thigh actually gets worked. Because if the knees are pointed forward to the thighs and up, this is a regular deadlift, and you'll still feel it straight down the middle. But again, if we can rotate the knees out without moving the toes any, we don't need to be all the way out at 180, because that's kind of hard to stand. But again, rotate the knees out and keep them there as you push the hips back behind you. You should feel that more down the outside of the hamstring. Those outside 2 that connect right at the outside of the knee. That's just the way that sumo affects a deadlift. We'll talk about how it affects a squat next week, so keep an eye out. But y'all take care.